Good morning, Hawks. It is Coach Hunley. I'm here at Shannon Johnson. I wish so much that you all could be here with us, but unfortunately we are still in our virtual schedule. So until we get to come back in person, Coach is going to continue to put some videos and content online through our Google Classroom for you to view. As you can see, my tall friend here with me, this is Mr. Jacob Keibler. He is a student teacher from Berea College. He is training to be a PE teacher like Coach Hunley, so you may see him in a few videos from time to time in the next few weeks. Today's video, we're going to talk about a very simple and basic skill, but it's a very important skill for a lot of different sports and activities that you're going to use even throughout life. We're going to talk about the skill of throwing and catching. Now you may think, well, Coach, that's very simple. Yes, that's a very simple skill that we use a lot in life, but it is something that can be important. We can use it in throwing and catching a softball if we play softball. We can use it for passing back and forth in the game of basketball. We got to know how to catch the basketball. We got to know how to pass it to our teammates. If we're playing football, of course, we want to know how to throw and catch from the quarterback to the receiver. So there's many different options that we use back and forth when we toss and catch. So the first thing we're going to do is just talk about a basic stance for throwing. Then we'll talk about catching, and then we'll add the two together, okay? So come along with us today, Hawks, and we're going to talk about some throwing and catching. And I'm just going to break down the steps of throwing a ball or throwing an object. I'm going to use the wall behind me. I don't have Mr. Keibler here to throw to me right at this moment. He's helping me out with filming. I'm going to focus on the white circle here on the climbing wall. Is kind of my target where I want the ball to go to. That could be a teammate or a family member that you could throw to or throw to a person. So it may be if you play softball or baseball, you field the ball and you're trying to throw it to first baseman to get the out. Okay, in basketball, you might be passing to an individual to get a layup on the other end of the floor. So first thing when we throw is we want to have a good stance, an athletic stance. In most sports and most things that you do, you want to have a good base and a good stance to you. You want to be good and balanced. So we start that out with our feet. We don't want them super close together because that makes me easy to move and I'm not very balanced and stable. So we want to step out about a foot apiece, which is almost about the width of Coach's shoulders. So we also refer to that sometimes as shoulder width apart. So you get your feet shoulder width apart. I'm facing my target, but as you can see, I'm actually facing you and not directly at the target because I'm going to rotate my body and throw the ball. Okay, so I got my stance. I got the ball centered in my chest area. I'm looking towards my target. I'm going to make a T with my body. So I'm going to come up and take this step. So as I make the T, I take a step. I'm using my offhand as kind of a sight and throwing it into the direction of my target. So I got my stance, I make the T, I point towards my target, I rotate my hips as I step, and I throw the ball. So let's put it all together. Stance, make my T, take my step, rotate my body, and throw towards my target. Now you're going to say, well, Coach, you're 3 or 4 feet from the wall. Okay, you are correct. I'm very close to the wall. So I just wanted to show you the steps. Now I'm going to back up and try to throw in this direction again, okay? All right, so now I've backed up farther from the wall. My target's at a greater distance, but it's the same steps. I got my base, my stance. I'm going to make this T as I step towards my target. So I'm stepping and I throw it towards my target, okay? So we can do that pretty quick and it doesn't necessarily have to be all those steps. Okay, so that is the motion of throwing. Now, a different motion that you could use sometimes instead of throwing at a great distance, if I was really close, would be a toss. So I would underhand toss it. For example, Mr. Keibler is going to step around here for me. If me and him are this close in baseball or softball, would Coach need to throw it hard at him? No, of course I wouldn't, because that might injure him or we might drop the ball and the runner get on base. So it may be a toss. Okay, it's a little bit easier throw. It's underhanded. I'm still got a good base. I'm still stepping towards my target. I I rotate my body and I toss to him. And he tosses it back. So those are the steps of throwing and tossing. We've talked about the steps to throwing, an overhand throw, and we've talked about tossing. Now, we want to talk about the other aspect of throwing and catching is the actual catching part. Now, when we're little and we're young, we catch almost like we bear hug something. We want to put our arms together and just catch it and hold it to our body. So if he throws the ball to me when we're young, we want to kind of bear hug everything. But that is okay to learn that step, but if the ball makes contact with my body first, it has a tendency to bounce and bounce off, so sometimes we end up dropping. When we catch, we want to try to use our fingertips and our hands. So if I'm going to toss the ball to Mr. Keibler, he's going to have his hands ready. He's going to keep his eyes on the ball, and he sees it all the way into his hands. So if I toss, he catches with his fingertips and his hands. Now, he's a big old tall guy. He got really big hands, so that ball is real easy for him. But for some of us, that may be when we're smaller, we may have to really focus. So I'm watching the ball, use my fingertips, and catch it with my hands. And as we can move on back and toss and catch. Of course, we're stepping when we toss towards our target. My partner in this situation, I toss the ball to him. He steps and tosses it back, and we're using our fingertips, okay? And another game or important part with that would be if you were like playing baseball, like if I'm the second baseman and I got to throw it to the first baseman to get the out. We're in basketball. If I'm making a chest pass down the floor to him, we throw it and catch it as a partner. So there's many games and things that we use throwing and catching for. And there's also things around your house. How many of you have been at home and you're helping mom or dad on the counter and you might drop something? Well, it might be something that could be breakable, so we try to catch that object before it hits the floor. We use our fingertips. So catching is a very important skill for playtime and for things at home. They're all hand-eye coordination skills, and they help you out in life, okay? So we just wanted to show you a few things today about throwing and catching that you can do at home. Now, of course, we are in a pandemic. You see Mr. Keibler and I, we have our mask on. We try to stay our distance, our social distance away. And you saw earlier in the video, we have our sanitizer and we have our stuff to use our cleaning supplies to clean the objects that we're playing with. If you're going to use a partner to throw in, you need to make sure you have those masks, your distance apart, and you're always cleaning your hands and stuff at the end. If you don't have a partner to throw it at home, you might be able to pick a spot on the wall like Coach did and throw. Now you want to make sure that it's safe, that you have a soft ball that wouldn't hurt the wall, and make sure it's okay with your parents to do so. But if you do have a sibling that you can play with, toss and catch is a game. All you got to have to do is have a simple ball, and you can play together, okay? So I hope this helps you out, and I look forward to seeing you if we can get you back in here soon. Have a great day, Hawks.